Hello everyone, this is Zeeebo and welcome to this AFK journey video. So in today's AFK journey video, welcome back, and we are going to talk about Ravaged Realm with my global server account. So this is my day one best team on Ravaged Realm, and I'm going to talk about the different stuff from the charms to the boss mechanics as well as the teams and the positioning. So for today's video, it will be with my global account. I'll also be posting all my free to play best teams on all the 4 different bosses with my VN account, probably I'll say like in the next few days, because I already did a day one best team. So for those of you guys who are free to play, you kind of want to find the best team for your account based on the units, feel free to visit those videos, which I'll link in the card above. So for today's video, let's start with the charm set first. So right now in Ravaged Realm, actually clicked onto the wrong one. So if you go into Ravaged Realm right now, my best score is about 97.8 bill. Right, currently 5th on the district. My friend hasn't released his team yet, but I think we are really close. Yeah, because there are a few factors. Number one, my EX weapon is way lower than his. Like, this is my units, this is my unit investment. So like he's a lot stronger in terms of tiers, and he has most of the units at a higher EX weapon. So if we take a look at the damage numbers over here, these are my damage numbers. So I think units which deals damage will have a higher importance in terms of their EX weapon. So for this case, CCS EX weapon 15 would definitely amp up a damage. Units like Hodgkin EX 15 also will amp up the damage because it's quite a big number. So these are the few things to consider. And lastly, one more thing, I think charms, right? Before we talk about my optimal charms or the units of the charm, I just want to complain that charms this season, it is one of the better mechanics, but also one of the worst design mechanics, because when I woke up this morning, right, when I was doing my initial testing, let me just show you guys what my initial testing looked like, okay? So if you take a look at my CCL right here, charmless, I was setless over here. You take a look at my Carolina over here, I was setless right here, right? So I didn't even have like a set of Viperion throughout because I just didn't have enough crafting materials, and you can see a major difference in terms of the damage. So this is me without any charm set on Carolina and Cecilia. So that was like this number, okay? So now we go into this over here, right? And then you take a look at this number, for example, right? This is with the charm set, so my best damage. Okay, let's go to my best damage. There are some RNG factors, but my best damage over here, right? You can see a massive jump in damage with regards to my CCL as well as Carolina. So it's just insane to think about like how charm has so much effect, but it's so hard to get a complete set, right? So I know that some of you guys might not be able to get a full set, but I'm just gonna break down who I feel are the most important units, right? So number one will be definitely Carolina. Oh wait, no, actually no, Talyn is number one. Sorry, let me switch out Talyn. Okay, so Talyn is definitely number one. Talyn with her mythical charm set does so much more, and her charm set, blast charm over here, makes her really broken, like a lot more damage. So this is a definite must, like if you want to get max damage, so you need Talyn, right? Secondly, Carolina and Cecilia, they are decently good damage dealers here, second or third based on your account, based on your teams itself. So Gale Charm for Cecilia, like I don't know, I had this, okay, I wanted to craft this, but I realized that HP percentage is not going to help me with my damage, and I had no issue surviving. So yeah, Gale Charm is the best one for Cecilia. And then for our dear Carolina here, it is the arcane side, so skill power plus attack percentage. Then I'll say Viperion is also equally important, because Viperion does quite a bit, right, from the mythical ability, and Viperion did quite a bit of damage in the damage distribution. So if you could, I'll say for him would be Sorcery Charm, because in that team itself, he can survive the full duration. So I kind of want to craft it, but I have a few other units that doesn't have anything yet. So I will wait until the next few days once like the bosses drop. For example, in the Dauntless squad, in Sylvan squad as well as Aurora squad, once the boss drop, that I crafted, because like I will craft this if I had other sets on other units, but like there are just a lot of units without sets, so I'll just wait for a little bit. So if you can, right, I'll say Insight is the best for Viperion. If you're lucky with your charms, Viperion. And then Ludwig's a decent damage dealer with healer, so you kind of want this charm set on him. So this will give you more survival and more heals and damage off him. If not, I think healer is also okay. Like I think the sustain part is quite important for the boss, because having more sustain means your Talon can survive longer, and then that's where you can output more damage. So play around with the magic charms to see whether or not you can get a more optimal combination for yourself. Okay, so this is charm set number 1. These are the top 5s. So for the rest, if you have the best in slot for them, then go ahead, but I think these are the more important ones. So for the boss's mechanics, right, let's run through the important part of the boss's mechanic and what are the things you can play around. So if you take a look at the boss's mechanics right here, the ultimate is actually really painful. Like the difference between 150% and stunning for 2 seconds, as well as 200% and then performing extra attack on 3 enemies with the highest HP is massive, right? So you kind of want Thalassa to actually use the ultimate Fairy Storm whenever she's in a green mode, but the thing is you can't actually manipulate the timing correctly, right? So the issue is because you probably want to kill off the tentacles as fast from Thalassa's dance, so that you can actually break her invincibility for you to jam in damage. But at the same time, right, when you kill her tentacles itself, she'll go into the red state, and that's where she becomes more powerful, and that empowers all her other skills. So what I can say for these 2 skills, or this part of the skill kit, is that you're changing out your artifact, changing out the pacing of your unit's damage output might actually allow you to survive one hit from, for example, Fairy Storm, right? So that you are able to jam in a little bit more damage before all your unit dies. So this part, you have to control the pacing. That's the best thing I can say, because like you just can't manipulate when you change the state, and you can't control Fairy Storm together with the change of state itself. So the only way you can do it is to use different relics to see whether or not the change in your haste stat, change in your attack percentage stats will have a difference in the pacing itself. Okay, so for this boss, more damage you do, the harder she hits back as usual. And then third skill, can't control as well. Dynamic Tentacles, basically sweep and smash. So AoE damage, 90%, 110%. So for this part, you just need some sort of sustain, or if your unit has some sort of regen, that would be appreciated. So that's that for the third skill. And then Colossal Dread, this is something that you can play around. So when she's in the red relic state, she will mark the furthest enemy with the dead type mark. So this will reduce their vitality, and also she will pull the enemy to the center and deal damage to them. So one thing I realized about this skill is that if Thalassa doesn't pull the marked enemy to the center, she doesn't deal the damage and she doesn't stun them. This is because I was using Viperion for this. So without further ado, let's jump into my best team as well as the rationale behind it. Okay, so we have a few attempts. We're just going to run through this. I'll do more testing later. So if there's an even better team than mine, I'll probably talk about it as well. So this is my team setup, and let's talk about the positioning. So after much testing, I think Verdant Spell is probably the best, because I think Verdant Spell does affect the pacing of the damage, so that you actually survive a lot better in your Fairy Storm. So for me, I'm actually currently level 39 on my Factional Talent. I think one way for me to get like more damage is to scale all my points into it. So right now I'm 39 level 1, so I think I can get like 2.7% attack and 2.7 defense, so on and so forth from there, and then try to get a little bit more. So that is those min-maxing side. So for this one, we're gonna use Verdant Spell, because Verdant Spell has quite a decent HP and defensive stat. At the same time, I think the class-based buff, the pacing is just nice, that you are able to survive certain Fairy Storm damage for your Talon to continuously jam in her ultimate, or jam in more damage through her ultimate. At the same time, I think another reason is because Verdant Spell's buff on the mage. Let's go through Verdant Spell's ability first before we continue. So Verdant Spell's buff on the mage actually gives the energy itself over here, as you guys can see, right? So on the mage like Talon, when she dies, when she comes back to life, that means Talon's main damage source comes from the ultimate. So being able to get her energy up really fast allows you to sort of get back to the ultimate channeling state of Talon. So this is where I think you get more damage off Verdant compared to many others, because many others give you more haste, right? But energy regen on our dear Talon is where she's able to start her ultimate once again to continuously burn the boss. So that's one of the reasons why I think Verdant is probably the best, other than the stats. And on top of just Verdant itself, I think generally it's also the pacing, like I mentioned earlier. So Verdant doesn't have haste, so there could be, I'll say like 1 or 2 of the attacks itself where you actually kill the boss, and then she used her Fury Storm, right? So she used it in her green state, and then you kill her, you go into the red state, and then the Fury Storm is charging. So that's one of the reasons why I think this is the best. Cause like I can't actually explain why this is better than, like, for example, Front 9 as well as Resonating, other than the Fury Storm, because the Fury Storm is going to be really important from the battle later on. So let's move back into the team. Okay, so right here, let's go into challenge. So Viperion, okay, so Viperion's right here at this corner, because when the battle starts, what will happen is Talene will actually move forward, right? Ludovic is placed in front of Talene, number 1, for the attack buff from the charm set over here. So this one gives you additional attack boost on Talene for you to hit a little bit harder. And at the same time, you actually get the Nero ultimate on Ludovic so that he doesn't get sniped off. You really need Ludovic's heals for the sustain as you jam in more damage. And then Viperion's over here right in this corner, because Viperion's ultimate, right? This skill allows Viperion to actually be unaffected when she's casting this part of the skill. And this is important because, like I mentioned earlier, right, the 4th skill over here, this deals damage if you pull the marked enemy into the center of the battlefield. So later you guys will see in terms of the runs itself. And so putting Viperion here, number 1, he has some sort of self-sustain for himself. He's able to drain HP from Soul Ravager, and he's able to actually get some sort of energy recovery over, let me just go into the skill over here, blah, blah, blah. Oh no, I think it's the part where he actually calls back the Viperion over here. Yeah, so this part allows him to regen some HP. So Viperion has pretty decent sustain to be the bait for the Colossal Dread right here. So that's why we put Viperion here. Initially, I was always putting Talene on the right side. Then I realized that Ludovic, if you do it like this, right, what will happen is all the units will move in front, right? And then your Ludovic will be the unit that will get targeted. So in this case, we will go with this one. So this is the better positioning because, right, what happens here is when the boss casts the Colossal Dread, or the timing of the Colossal Dread usually doesn't move Viperion. So the damage doesn't come in, the stun doesn't come in until the very last moment. So later on, we'll see in the battle. And then for Nero's case, right in front, so Nero will be carrying the additional Pyre of Renewal from Talene right here to burn the boss a little bit more. And also just to heal as well as keep the units in spirit form to do a little bit more damage in case they die, right? In case they fall in battle itself. So next one, we go into the second team. So second team, we have Carolina together with our dear Hodgkin, as well as Cecile over here. So this one, the best artifact I had was with Resonating. So I tried Valor as well. I tried Resonating. I also tried our dear Great Sword with physical teams. So I think the reason why Resonating is the best, or at least the best for me, is because like I mentioned earlier, like this is a skill which is quite impactful, right? It not only reduces your vitality, but it pulls you to the center and then deal damage and stun you. So stunning you reduces your DPS, and this is where when you use Resonating on Cecile, she will be the last unit. And when you have Resonator buff active, she's immune to control, so she doesn't get moved, and that's where she's able to prevent that stun as well as the damage. Okay, so without further ado, let's run through the battle and talk about the different observations right here. Let's go. Okay, we'll go at 1 time, and then once we go through the flow of battle, we'll go at 2 times. Okay, so start of battle, you can see all the units will just run up. Okay, so the tentacles will just slam. So another thing about Hodgkin is that if you do have Hodgkin at Supreme Plus, that's where he will summon the units, and then you will be able to actually redirect the Tentacles attack, reducing the damage on your other allies. So right here, Talene starts to use the ultimate, and you will see the massive jump in damage. That's why Talene's charms is really important, yeah, because the charm actually changes her damage output tremendously. So yeah, Talene, if you have her, please get her charms first priority for this run. Okay, so right now we have the Dig type mark on Viperion right here, as you guys can see. Okay, the boss is in a red state, as you guys can see. Okay, so another thing linking Torrent to Viperion is that when Viperion takes damage, which is usually the case, right, being the last unit as well as the data unit, your Torrent will be able to do a little bit more damage. So these are all the different small details to min-max on your damage, as well as the rationale for the positioning. So you can see Viperion not being put to the center, even though he's marked by the dead type mark, right, because of the unaffected, like I mentioned. And when he doesn't get moved, you don't get the second part of the boss's kit. So this is where he stays on the spot. So later on, I think he will eventually be put in, I think during one of the timing where he's not unaffected. But this arrangement over here gives you both the sustain, the play around the 4th skill, as well as additional charging power on Talin, so that whenever she falls, she can get back to her ultimate ASAP, continue channeling the damage. Yeah, so for this team, on average, is about 56 to 58 build. So there are some RNG factors. Let's see how much we can do here. Yeah, so 51. Hopefully Talin don't die so that she doesn't stop channeling her ultimate. Okay, she doesn't die here. Really, really nice. Hopefully Ludovic keeps her alive. Okay. Let's see whether or not she gets some ultimate off. Okay, unfortunately, I missed the timing a little bit. So, like, she's only 54 build here. So, there's that. Let's just run through this battle. So, for this one, let's run through the battle first. Later on, we'll do some fine-tuning. Okay. So this fight, there will be some RNG as well, like the tentacle whipping, whether or not your Talin survives, etc, etc. So let's go with 2 times for this one. So you can see CCL being immune with the Resonator buff. Doesn't get moved, so you don't get the second part of the skill, right? So you don't get stunned, you don't get disabled, and then that's where you are able to actually use your skill and output damage safely. So we'll just play the whole battle so that you guys understand the flow, and then later on we will do some refreshers, fine-tuning, see whether or not we can get better damage. Yeah, so that's why for this fight, right, because you have a dual damage type, dual carry, I think Resonator is good for both sides with that immune buff, so that you don't get the Colossal Dread debuff on your last unit. So this team is around 37, 38 for me. So these are the different number ranges. So the first team is just now was 54, right? So 54 to 58 range. 54 is the lower end one, unfortunately. Okay, so this is 38.4. Okay, so 38.4 right here. Okay, so this one gave me 93. Yeah, so the first team damage number is really, really important, because Talin being able to survive longer will give you more damage. So exact same team setup, we're just going to try it again. So let's see whether RNG grace us. Yeah, because the RNG factor comes in when your Talin managed to survive, right? And then just spams her ultimate a little bit more. Let's see whether we get a little bit higher. If not, then the 97 build one, right? So as you guys can see, right? So we get a little bit more over here. So Vampire also did a little bit more over here. But I think maybe this team might have lost a little bit of damage. So this is the teams, this is the damage runs. And I think with regards to like the different substitutes itself, I'll probably save it for another video, because like for today, I will just use my own account first to figure out what's the better teams, and maybe wait for like those players with maxed out units, because there are a few units which I want to try but I don't have them, or I just don't have them developed yet. There could be a possibility that Danya could be in the best team, right? There could be a possibility that Skyta could be in the best team, and depending on your EX weapon types as well as your unit investments in terms of the tiers, there could be even better optimization itself. So we will wait for that, but this is the best team for my own account. So one last run and see whether or not we can break our own record. Okay, RNG bless me. Let's go. Blessed. Okay, no, not blessed. Still 97 build, but that's pretty much it for this video. Thank you very much for tuning in. Let me know what's your best team combination, as well as your best score for the Immortal squad Ravaged realm. And I'll see you guys again in my next video. Bye, guys.